Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. I hope you're doing great. Why are we here? The Economic Ninjas Live with no agenda except to answer some questions. My son had this idea. We're in the middle of barbecuing a couple of tri-tips. Just spent all day breaking my back working doing a retaining wall. And he said, let's do a live stream and answer some questions. And yesterday or the day before, you asked me, AJ, to ask some questions on Twitter. And so we have a few to get this ball started. And then we're going to dive into your guys' questions, and AJ will be moderating. So thank you so much for that. So what's the first question?
So the first question is a gentleman who is flipping houses, and he's wondering what to do when you can't sell anything. You can't flip any more houses. How to move on?
How to move on? That's a really tough one. Okay, well actually it's not. So I've had a lot of side hustles, and every single one, when you build it up and you're making six figures or more and you're out there crushing it, there's always a day where the tide is turned. Whether it be palm trees, trailers, it was definitely homes back in 2006. You feel it. You can't move. You can't find the deals. You can't make the margins you're used to. You're having a harder time selling, and you have to pivot. What I did when I went from real estate to something else, I went to something else I loved. I was bored sitting around the house. There was no more homes to flip. Everything had started to turn, and I had a big backyard that was not landscaped. And I wanted to put palm trees. I actually wanted to always make it look like my cousin's house because he had like 100 palm trees in the back of the house. It was beautiful, with waterfalls and stuff. The palm trees were expensive. And so what I did was, because it was a big hobby, I said, you know what, why don't I start shopping around for palm trees? And I started finding palm trees much cheaper. And what it was, long story short, I found something that I loved, because to go from something you're crushing it at and you're enjoying, or maybe you're not, but you're crushing it all of a sudden to nothing, it does something to your brain. And you need to sort of rejigger your brain. And so if you can focus on something that you enjoy and just look at a hobby and go, how can I turn this hobby into something? And I was selling palm trees in the down market, and I was making $50,000, $60,000 a year cash on the side. So that was how I did that. So look at something that you enjoy and then turn that into a small business. I'm not saying, make the money that you were making with the houses, but just enough to where it's feeding your mind and your spirit and then your soul. You feel good about yourself. You're still contributing to your family's income, but you're taking that time to sort of reposition.
So to switch gears and do bullion sales, gold and silver sales, Joseph is saying that Costco is selling gold online, and he's wondering what the advantages or disadvantages there are between buying from them or possibly some online coin dealers.
Okay, super big deal. So Walmart also sells bullion. There's a lot of big companies that are selling it. This is the first thing you need to know. They are a third party. They in the fine print, really, if something goes wrong, they have very little to do with the deal, unless Costco is doing something totally out of the realm of everyone else. I've usually found that just because you trust Costco doesn't mean they're going to have the best prices on everything. And you need to do your shopping, your due diligence. Now, with that being said, even if Costco is a third party, you now have one more party to grab onto and yell at or sue or file a complaint if something goes wrong, which is a good thing. But really what it comes down to is price. And so I find that if you go directly to the bigger dealers, you can find much better deals. Now, with that being said, I always love my local coin shops, and I love to give the small businesses business. However, most of the time they don't have the best prices because they don't have a lot of inventory. So they're usually running those prices up, the price over a spot. But when you get to know your local coin shops, with us, it's been great. So they know, or they used to, because I buy differently now, but they used to call me whenever they get something big in, and I just take care of it for them.
So what function or reality is there about economic warfare?
Wait, what?
What is the function or reality behind economic warfare?
Or there's a ton of reality. Economic warfare is very real. It's been going on since the dawn of time. Everything from destroying your economy by destroying or taking away your food supply, to now ones and zeros on computers to destroy another country's economy. The sad thing is it's very real, and the U.S. is on the forefront of economic warfare, and the rest of the world knows. That's the only reason the BRICS nations have been formed. That's the reality. The function of it is to take your competition to their knees without having to fire a single shot, without having a hot war. That's your last line of defense when you're trying to destroy another country or defend yours. And so we have been engaged in economic warfare with every time we sanction a country because we do not agree with what they do. As a matter of fact, there have been times in the recent past where the US government has sanctioned, cut off the money supply to and from certain bank accounts to countries because they don't appreciate the way that they're dealing with their own public based on ESG or all these new, how they deal with pronouns and all this other crap, quite frankly. So we're pushing our ideological, which I think is completely sick, values and messed up in our country on other countries. And our other countries are sick and tired of it.
So possibly we can do some more specific things on economic warfare in the future. But just a very general question: where do you think the world's going to be in 5 years?
Oh, that's a good one. Because not a lot of people are going to understand this. And they're not going to like this answer. I believe that we're going to be in something amazing in 5 years, quite frankly. I think we're going to go through a mini crash. It's going to be sharp. It's going to be painful. And I believe that God is going to bless our country because of all this horrible stuff that's happened in our country. And the veil has been pulled back. So many of us are seeing the evil that is going on in our government, our schools, all kinds of stuff. And people are rising up and they're doing something about it. I mean, you're doing something about it every time you buy a gold coin or a silver coin. You're doing something about it when you decide not to get into debt. You're doing something about it when you buy a little extra food. And you're not alone. This movement is growing so fast. This awareness is moving so fast. And I believe that you're going to see the next president come in and negotiate the collapse of America with the banks, because that is what's happening. It's the government against the banks, but they've been put together in sort of an incestuous fold because they all work together. And what's going to happen is the government is going to owe the banks and the banks are going to demand their money. But the next president comes in is going to negotiate that. And I believe that we're going to have almost 4 years of euphoria, quite frankly. I think there's going to be liberals that are crying themselves to bed every night. But I'm also watching people that were completely clueless now walking into the light. People that were liberal, now they're waking up and going, holy cow, this is not what I voted for. It's not what I wanted. I just wanted to help people. And they didn't know that they were they were deceived. And so I believe it's going to be a sharp, quick event. And then I believe that we're going to have this time of euphoria. But here is the problem. During that time of euphoria is the time to gather. Because just like Joseph had 7 years of good, plentiful time to gather all this grain and store it up for 7 years of famine, I believe that's what's going to happen with us. And then things are going to start to turn dark again. And that is what we need to be really prepared for. So that's why it's just sort of a brief amount of time. I don't think a lot of people are going to understand that. But.
So before we get into that era of time, they're wondering, do you see, I know you've talked about this recently and you just called it, I want to say a few weeks ago, but do you see a major trigger event that catapults us into an instant major downturn where there will be like one day where everything falls, or is it going to be a slow burn?
Yes, there's always one day. There's always one day of infamy, a day where people go back and they look and they go, okay, that was the day. In 2008, it was the day that Lehman Brothers officially closed their door. Ironically, it wasn't the day that Bear Stearns closed their door, but by the time Lehman did, enough had happened, right? By the time Lehman Brothers closed, Washington Mutual was evaporating, other banks were evaporating, but there's always one day of infamy. And usually it's the one day where the elites want to point to and go, here it is. Now, ironically, that day of infamy in 2008, I believe was September 21st or 23rd, don't quote me on this, was a special date, it was a feast day on the Jewish calendar. Also, if you go back and look at 9/11, that was also a feast day on the Jewish calendar. These are very important time dates. Now, there's one of these dates coming up here at the end of September, and I am expecting something to happen. Is this the big one? I couldn't tell you, but I have to be honest with you. In the beginning of September, when this Jewish year started, it's the year of Jubilee, which is separate from a Shemitah cycle, which is a 7-year cycle on that calendar. The year of Jubilee, remember in September, what happened last September when this year started? All the banks went to the Federal Reserve and said that they're insolvent. And we've seen special dates like when Saudi Arabia walked away from the contract or the agreement with the dollar, the US government, for a trade settlement for oil in dollars. And then a year later, they reiterated. That was during a Shemitah year. So I believe that there's going to be something big this fall, and that's why I've been talking about it. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. I've been wrong before. I've been really blessed recently with some good calls, but hey, no, not everybody knows everything. So hopefully that explains it.
So there's quite a few new people on the live stream right
Oh,
now.
who's this dude with weird hair?
Well,
it's called the Brohawk.
They're wondering, for people who haven't been watching you for very long, in the most basic form possible, what should they do to prepare?
Oh man, that's super easy. So let's say you got $1,000. I split it up equally. I would take 1/3, put it into food. Go get some canned food, right? Because inflation's bad and it's getting worse. And really, you have to ask yourself, and you really got to have the coming to Jesus moment or just a coming to you moment. Look in the mirror and say, do I believe things are going to get worse, or do I believe things are going to get better? And whatever that answer is, you need to be able to give yourself 3 reasons why you believe that to be truth. Because too many people in this world believe another person. Believe, oh, you're an expert, you got a name badge. Okay, oh, you went to college. There you go, I'm gonna believe you. Rather than really question what they have to say or listen to what they say. Remember, faith comes by hearing, but the problem is if you're just listening and you hear something over and over again, and you just believe it as truth without objective, reasonable questioning of that to be truth or not, you're going to fail. So you have to be able to answer that question. And if you think that things are going to be bad, then take that money, whatever you have, and split it into thirds. Buy some food. Get yourself 6 months worth of food. Why not? And don't buy crazy food that you're never going to eat. Just buy stuff that you normally eat, right? Canned goods. And if you like rice, buy a bag of rice, right? Seal it up right. Then take the other third and look at inflation hedges. Buy a little silver, buy a little gold, right? And it's not because I'm telling you that because I'm a financial advisor. I'm following what wealthy people do. What people do, hedge funds and what they do for security, protection. They either buy bonds or they buy gold and silver. The problem is bonds lose their value if you buy anything with longer maturities because rates are going up. Excuse me, I'm drinking bubbly water. I keep burping. And then the last third, invest in yourself. You have to get some new skills. And so you have to broaden your horizons. You have to listen to something. And then that's just the money situation. That's the last third, invest in yourself. And then this is the last part I think is the most important. If you listen to music, stop. Listen to only motivational talks. Because again, faith comes by hearing. When you listen to other people that have had bad times and defeated bad times, you can defeat them. And then stop doing the things that you waste time with. Like, we all watch a little TV at the end of the night because we want to drain. Why don't we watch something educational, something that's going to teach us something, a new skill, a new lesson? I think that, diving into yourself is going to be huge.
So how long, for those who are looking at buying homes, how long do you think it'll take to where it's a good enough time?
Long time. So that's the great thing about economic cycles or real estate cycles. When I started liquidating my homes, I figured this out in 2005. That's when I couldn't flip my last house. It was hard. By 2006, I am unloading homes. And I'm like running for the hill. By 2007, I'm a madman. Everyone thought I lost my mind. By 2008, I was right. And nobody still wanted to talk to me. Only 2 friends from all that still talk to me. The bottom didn't come in until 2011, really. Maybe 2012, it started to come up. The bottom was not in for till 2011. So it takes a long time. The reason why is because it takes so long for people to come to realization, like, I'm screwed, I'm gonna stop making my payments. Then it takes even longer for the banks go, we're screwed, that guy's not making his payments. We gotta do something about it. Then it takes even longer for people to start buying up homes because they go, we're not going to buy those homes because we'd be screwed. So everyone's screwed. So it takes like a certain amount of time. And it's akin to the first time you bought a Bitcoin or the first time you bought silver. You didn't buy it the first time you heard about it. You heard about it probably 20 times. And then you finally went, all right, I'm going to buy it. That's what I mean by faith comes by hearing. It takes a certain amount of time. So you have a lot of time to get ready. But my thing is I want to buy 100 homes this next cycle. I don't want to mess around. I want 100 single family homes. And I'm going to do it on YouTube. I set my sights really high because I know what it's like to be before the cycle and after the cycle. So
it's a pretty broad question, but what do you think is going to happen in the UK?
All right, real quick. First, did you take the tri-tips off?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. They're already rested. I don't know. I'm answering questions. UK tri-tip. All right. I have no clue. Honestly, I know that Russia is trying to defend their ability to move their navy certain times of the year. But then also I'm trying to focus on, who we have in presidency right now. And I believe that the next president is going to put a stop to this real quick. I don't know that, but I will tell you this, it will cause supply chain disruptions because even if it doesn't actually cause the supply chain disruptions, the media wants you to believe that that's the reason why we're having problems with food in the next year, that they're going to be the scapegoat.
So a lot of people are talking about stocking up things like antibiotics and alcohol and things to trade. So I'm going to blend two questions
Is
together.
this Philippe's question?
No, Kevin.
But you got that right.
Uh,
Super chat just went by.
yes, it was not a question.
Okay. Well, thank you, Philippe.
Yes.
right.
But
Blend the two questions.
Kevin the Weed Man earlier.
Ooh, Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin's
He's
always,
awesome.
in the chat.
He's always.
So he's wondering, I'm going to blend these two questions together.
Right.
He's wondering what, your perfect day looks like, what you'd like to do in the daily life, I suppose. But I'm going to add this to it.
Thank you, Holy. He's not looking. Thank you, Holy Scapegoat, for the sub. Look at these names for the super chat. I love it.
So I'm going to blend that
Scapegoat.
with a lot of these people in the chat are wanting to prepare for bad times, and they're talking about antibiotics, silver, gold, whatever.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You don't want prepping to disrupt your life. What do you think they should be doing on the daily to prepare that won't disrupt?
So it disrupted my life, and I'll tell you this: I was moving in fear in what year was it? 2010 to 2013. I was prepping, and it was out of fear. It was a great motivator, I'll give you that. But I mean, I was buying iodine pills because we live near a nuke plant and emergency food and long-term food, and it can't take you over. But at a certain time, all you have to do is simply this. You say for 1 month, you're like, my extra money is going to go to this. And once it's done, I'm done. You have to have a end goal. You can only have so much ammo, quite frankly. You can only carry so many bandoliers of ammo. I use that example, but it's true. You can only have so much food for you're not going to be able to cycle through it in time. It's going to go bad. But you have to live. And since after I did that and I started these extra businesses, holy cow, they just exploded because my mind wasn't there. I knew that things were going bad and they're going to get worse. But look, nothing's happened. Yeah, sure, we had COVID. Excuse me. I had tons of this darn bubbly water. Don't drink bubbly water before a live stream. I had tons of toilet paper. I didn't have to worry about going to Costco, right, and getting toilet paper. But yeah, it can't take you over. It just can't. But I will tell you this. Every day that we go with it not happening, it's coming closer. And anybody that's in a hurricane just went through a fire, they would sit there and they say, well, the fire just destroyed everything. But I mean, I wish I would have gotten ready.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because there's a fine line between prepping out of fear and prepping out of, I would say wisdom, almost, in a sense of just having an idea of something could happen. And maybe those supplies could help your neighbor or help yourself.
I mean, I know guys that have a pallet of 22 ammo, and they would go to Walmart every day and they just buy 22 ammo. I'd see them, and you're like, "What are you doing? You buy more ammo?" Gee, I can't have enough. It's just, and then you look back and you're like, "What are you going to do with all that?" I don't know. I don't know.
That being said, toilet paper is the first thing to come off the shelves when
it is. Happens. And you know why it is? It's because it's the largest thing for the cheapest amount that someone could go, I got something. And they're walking out with this big old thing of toilet paper. I'm like, are you going to taco night, Tuesday night? But that they feel good about that. Now, what's crazy is, we had that shortage of DEF that rolled through. And I went and bought a thing of DEF the other day because I wasn't going to run to the diesel pump and get it. And since I bought that DEF, and I bought like 12 cases, right? DEF has went up like 35, 40%.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't care what you say about shortages. Yeah, there was always DEF around. There was barely any, but the prices, they just kept going up. You see Erica Williams?
Yeah.
What's that?
Okay, so actually this leads into what I was gonna. So I'll tie this in.
Thank you, Erica.
So yes, thank you. So when we're talking about prepping and not wanting to disrupt your life, it's more important rather than to just stock up beans and toast and whatever else. It's more, I would say, important to get ready processes for you to sustain yourself. So like rather than stocking up water, stock up water filters, things like that.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
But so what Erica asked actually is, I see a ton of folks buying outdoor storage water tanks. Do you recommend water storage or food storage like beef, chicken?
Yeah, so I did that too. I went and got those blue bins, filled them up with water, and they just went bad.
The 50-gallon drums.
Yeah, they just went bad. And I mean, that's like a real apocalyptic kind of scenario, right? So my thing is I learned after a while how to filter the water. And if times are bad, there's always water around. And so we had this triple method of water filtering where we had these really nice pitchers. I've got the link down below. I love this company, but I'd pre-filter the water, then I'd put it in my big, gravity fed water filter. And it was great. but I mean, really, yeah, I wouldn't focus on having jugs of water. Also, people use alcohol. That people will go out and buy tons of bottles of vodka and rum. I'm like, you gonna drink that? They're like, oh, it's gonna be for trading. I'm like, what if one earthquake comes and they just all fall over and break? Or I mean, the space that's used for that. It's like I think it would just be better to have a bunch of silver dimes laying around. You know?
Yeah, and also just having good relationships with your neighbors or people around you to who
Yeah,
you can
and
trust.
also making sure that you only certain people know what you do and you prep. You don't want to broadcast that.
Yeah. So back to what we were talking about earlier about
I hope this is helping, guys. Type one if you like this kind of stuff. Type two if it's a waste of time. I'd like to know what you guys think.
yeah.
Get like a consensus going.
So back to if all this is going to come crashing down in a singular day, or if it's going to happen over a period of time. Like obviously in 1929, it was a singular day. You could not pull your money out of the bank. So how do you
Well,
think that?
it wasn't. It was the last day, the day of infamy, right? When your bank, well, because banks are closing right now, and you see like, or your bank comes, you get an alert, all the ATMs are down, or you can't withdraw money because we're having a glitch or something like that, and you're like, and what I've been telling people, if you just had another bank account, like, well, I need $100. Well, we can't give it to you right now because we're having a glitch. Okay, well, let's go over to my other bank. I'll get the $100, and then eventually that works out, right? We're not going to have any banks just go completely boof, gone. You're going to have bail-ins, but you'll get a percentage of your money back. You know, that's how they set it up. But if you just have multiple banks, it's so easy. You know.
So are credit unions? Do you think they're safe?
So credit unions are held to different standards, but very similar. They're under their own guidelines. They have their own acronym. I'm blanking on SEIU. I don't remember the acronym for it. It's not FDIC that insures them. It's a different insurance, and they have some different standards, but very similar. They have their shareholder base. I believe they have a little bit more accountability because they're user-owned kind of things. I like them, but I don't always bank with all. I have multiples. I have 6 banks. You know, I have large regional banks, international banks, and then the smaller hometown bank and I also have a credit union. So, I mean, in all reality, like what just happened with was it Farmington, the four branches, and they were actually putting out their own currency, and it boom got snapped up by the Federal Reserve. You could never have figured that out ahead of time. You just couldn't. It's on their website. They say that they're most trustworthy, and they only have 4 branches. You don't think it's some big conglomerate? Who would have known?
So I think we need to crush a little bit of FUD here,
Ooh, the
because
FUD.
yeah. The collapse is inevitable, but will there be a recovery behind? How long will it take? We talked about that earlier, but you put in parentheses here: will humanity survive this as a species?
100%. I mean, look at the fall of Rome. Look at the Dark Ages. But then that's pretty extreme, right? And and you want to know why it's extreme? Was because the world wasn't tied in economically like it is today, right? Um, these are regions that collapsed, and they didn't have trade agreements as tight and the technology that we have today. So crashes are going to be quicker. But then you have the Great Depression. Everything was fine after that, right? Look at the Great Recession. Everything is fine after that. So what happens is bad things happen, and people's standards of life change based on if they are ready for it or not, whether it gets better or gets way worse. But you don't see mass deaths and things like that. I'd be more afraid of what happened with what just happened in 2020, and everybody getting shot up full of stuff they don't know, and they can't sue, and they don't have any recourse. I'd be more worried about that than an economic collapse taking us down. That's what I would be worried about.
Yeah, there's no reason to fear.
No, if you want to fear having to lose your house possibility and your kids not having a home because you may lose your job, that's good fear, because what that does, hopefully you don't roll into a ball and need a safe space. We you know, grab a hold of our emotions, and we sit as men or women that are running our households and go, well, what do I need to do to ensure the best possible outcome? If I lost my job, do I have another skill? If I lost my job, do I have another form of income coming in? If I lost my job, will I be able to emotionally get through it and immediately start acting? What are my trigger points? Those kind of things.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm missing some questions. If you guys have some questions, ask. I haven't seen that many in a minute here.
Great. Let's see here. Oh, cool.
Oh, this one's from earlier.
Oh, wait, here, I'll ask this real quick.
Go ahead.
Would you consider investing in gold and silver over investing in the market? All right. We're in an inflationary period, and throughout history, in all markets, when there's inflationary periods, stock markets don't tend to crash. Why? Because as the currency loses its purchasing power, people are searching for yield, and one way they search for yield is they buy stocks. And so the stock market tends to go up, but it never tends to go up as much as inflation. Like, and we're talking about food and energy, okay? Venezuela is a good example. Turkey is a good example. There's actually a lot of examples, and it's tough to formulate thoughts based off of smaller countries because they're not first world countries, right? Necessarily. But that's what happens. When people start to run for the exits and they dive into gold and silver during a hyperinflationary period, that can get really interesting. So what I would do, no, I would never give you advice. I'm going to tell you what I did. For a while, 80% of my net worth was in precious metals. I had to go store it and vault it. I couldn't keep it in my house. There's no way. Because I'm not set up that way. I had about 10%, 20% of my money in crypto. That at one point 10x'd my precious metals holding. So I had to do a rejiggering. Then I got into stocks, but a very small portion of my stuff's in stocks, and it's very short swing trading things, options trading, shorting a little bit. I don't really short. I mean, every once in a while I buy puts. But just that's a very small thing. And what I do is I use that to flip the money over and over. Not always perfect with that, trust me. But so not a lot. So hopefully that answers the question.
So can sovereign wealth funds demand physical collateral in order to continue to buy U.S. Treasury debt?
Heck yeah, they could. But that's the thing. You could demand all kinds of things. Look. Germany demanded their gold back in 2015. How'd that work out for them? They had to. The Fed goes, "Oh yeah, we'll give you your gold from World War II back, but it's going to take us 7 years to get it." And their eyes bugged out of their head. They sent a delegation, and that's a sovereign country, right? France was demanding gold back in the 70s. They're cashing in as much dollars as they can to get it back, and then Richard Nixon went, "Nah, we're cutting it off." There's been all kinds of times through history where sovereign funds, sovereign governments come in and demand something. But if the other person is insolvent on the other side, they're not going to get anything. So sad thing is, I believe the United States is straight up insolvent.
So some people are wondering, what's the best way to move gold and silver overseas for storage? And possibly why would you want to do that?
I should talk about that. I was just in the Isle of Man, and I was actually just in London. We walked into an amazing store, and the gentleman recognized us right off the bat. Really intelligent person. He's probably watching right now. Actually, it's pretty late over there. There's actually a couple of places that I've been looking at putting stuff overseas, but that I have to go vet them and put my money in myself before I even talk about them. So everything I have right now is in the country. Except for a little bit in Canada. I work with I'm blanking on the company, but I know the owners. I've known them for a long time. Holy cow, Jacob, thank you so much for that super chat. That's amazing. Did you catch that?
Yeah, no question.
No question. Thank you, Jacob. But yeah, when I do that, I'm gonna talk about that and some more because I have not personally put my stuff overseas. I'm just okay. I gotta tell you something. This is gonna drive people nuts. But I do have some nice things. I always have. I like nice things, but I've been really frugal. And like I've told you guys the story of the Ferrari when I saved up to buy a Ferrari when I was 26, and I saved up the money to pay cash for it, and then I just couldn't do it because AJ was 1 year old, and I'm like just holding him. I'm like, I can't spend $600 on an oil change. I'm not gonna do it myself back then. I'm not that mechanically inclined. I am, but. I'm looking at all the deals right now as the Rolex indicator turns over. I don't have a Rolex. As the diamond indicator, I can't stand diamonds. But I watch all these deals because I've went through 2 cycles and I see how cheap things go for, the supercars and all that kind of stuff. And then I see how much they swing up when credit gets more abundant. I was talking to a gentleman the other day about Rolex. He knew so much about them because I know that's one thing that people are just going to liquidate. They've used credit cards to buy these things. And he was telling me about St. Thomas and why you'd go down to St. Thomas to buy these used Rolexes because of the tax-free thing. And that got me thinking about storing metals in different countries and having different accounts. But I have not dove into that yet. So I just don't want to talk about something I don't know.
So Lisa, with the super chat, she's wondering, if someone has a rental, would you guess that it is too late to sell it? or maybe they just hold it?
Oh, it's a great question. I've got a video that we're having edited. I know it's crazy on this topic, and there are a lot of people right now that are finding themselves. They go, "Wow, I've just hit this. My rentals were $500, $600, $800,000," and they go to sell it, and it's just sitting on the market. So you need to decide what you want to do with that money. And I'll give you an example. And thank you for the super chat, by the way. I spoke with an attorney. She is a really high-ranking attorney, corporate attorney down in Los Angeles. And she's like, I want to sell my Tesla stock, but I can't, I don't want to pay the taxes. And I'm sitting there laughing, and I'm talking to her, and I go, well, how much are the taxes you're going to pay on it? And she goes, I'm going to pay about, it's long-term capital gains. I'm going to pay like 15% on it. And I look and I go, well, then why don't you set a sell order for 15% higher than what it is right now? And she goes, why would I do that? And I go, well, do you want to sell it right now? If you could pay 0% in taxes, would you sell it right now? She goes, yes. And I go, then sell it for 15% more. When it goes up, sell it, and you go, I got my price. And the look on her face was just like, couldn't even fathom. She did do it because he did jump up in price. But my point being is that people you need to find out why you want to sell something. Are you in a panic? Or do you think it's really going to turn down? Or can you take that money and do something a lot better with it? Well, then that dictates the price you're going to sell the house for. And so, you know your market, your local market. But I would say that if it's something, and a lot of people are selling rentals right now, and then they're paying off their home, and their cash flow is exploding because they don't have to mortgage anymore. I know a lot of people are doing that. So you got to find out why you're selling. And then that dictates how soon you got to sell the house, and then what you're going to sell for.
What jobs do you think are going to be taken over by AI first? And
coding,
people with those jobs.
Man, remember the learn to code movement? Now there's a short time frame where you can learn to code and specialize in AI. You're gonna crush it. That's one thing. I did a video about it a long time ago, and I didn't know. Oh gosh, I'm blanking out. But here's the thing. Yeah, I don't even know how to answer that. I mean, you could Google it right now. It's hard to answer that question just off the top of my head. But yeah, there's going to be a lot.
So, Jacob, you didn't have to
assistance.
Do another.
What?
Go ahead.
No, I was thinking online assistance.
Jacob came up with a question after his super chat, and then I asked him to ask it again, and he gave another super chat. So
man,
he didn't have to do that.
Thank you so much.
He's looking to purchase a local UPS store that's about 5 minutes from his house. It's been established. Do you think that he should get into that?
Ooh. That's rough. So UPS just did this historic raise, right? Well, what's going to happen to the price of their shipping? It's going to raise. Why do people usually choose one company over another? Because of price, right? Convenience, all that kind of stuff. It all comes down to how much you're paying for the company. And that's really neat. You know what I love to do when I'm digging down and I'm looking at companies for sale? I love digging through their tax returns, because that tells you the truth. Whether it be a real estate deal or a business, say, let me see your tax returns. Because everything, and what do most business owners do? They shove a ton of write-offs down the IRS's throat, and they go, oh, this is all legit. But then when they go to sell it, your valuation doesn't look so hot anymore when you look at the tax returns, and that's what I like to value it off of. Another thing is what is the closest UPS store, and what kind of other services could you take on? And then the other thing is you're dealing with leases. You know, you could have a UPS store, but you don't own the building. That's your big variable. Are there vacant businesses in the same complex? If there are, you have a pretty darn, and they've been vacant for a while, you've got a pretty good bet that you're not going to have massive rate increases because they're scared just to lose you. But that's something else that you really want to see, because on a UPS store, there's a ton of overhead involved if you move that store with putting in the new mailboxes, all that kind of stuff, all of the fixtures and things like that. I see something about XRP from Guy.
Guy left a super chat.
Thank you.
REIT or XRP?
You know what? If he's saying REIT is in a REIT, get a clarification. A REIT?
Yes.
I would not touch REITs with 10-foot poles right now. I own XRP. Now there's going to be, I just texted Jared Tate last night because of something I saw with an asset that could have been a real estate asset based on DigiByte. I need to go find out from him. But XRP, I believe, I own XRP, I don't own REITs. End of story. I would not be touching REITs. The management fees are insane. They're not worth crap because they're all mortgage-backed securities. They have to be refinanced every so many years, and interest rates went up. So no, I would not touch REITs.
What do you think about buying modular homes?
I think it's awesome. I made a killing. We were making so much money flipping modular homes and park models in 2015 when doomsday shelters were going up and when people were losing their homes out of the 2008 crisis. No, that was before 2015, wasn't it? When me and Charlie were doing it.
Yeah. I
Oh,
think
oh,
so.
2015, we hit our peak because the oil boom or the oil crash, the shale oil crash, and we were buying up all the part models from all these oil companies in the state of California that were going bust because the price of oil collapsed. So we were doing flipping trailers like 2012, 2013, and we were buying them, cleaning them up barely, and then selling them to families that were having to put up their kids or their grandparents or their parents that lost their home during the '08 crash. And so during a a crash, that is an excellent business to get into. I was thinking about adding to that. I've got some videos with Charlie in the side hustle course, but I'm thinking about doing a whole section of that in real estate. So I think that's a really neat thing to do.
So some people actually let's see here. Do you see rents going down by the end of the year?
Yes. Yeah, I do because and it'd be hard to say by the end of the year, but within a year. And the reason why is because everyone's tapped. People are losing their jobs. Inflation is worse than the amount of raises anyone are getting. Everyone's food prices, energy prices are going up. And so I believe you're going to see a lot of people searching for cheaper rentals. And then I do believe there's going to be a level where, and what's really sad, because most landlords, they just don't get it. I found my most success in real estate when I would buy a property, I'd buy it right. I would put 10% down on when I was really in rentals back in the early 2000s, I put 10% down on an 80-10-10, 10% down, 10% second, 80% first. I'd buy it right to where I was cash flowing immediately. I was getting a nice cash flow. And then what I did is I watched my tenant. And after 6 months, I said, I'm going to fix your rent for the rest of your life because I had fixed rate mortgages. And I said, if you take care of this, and I'd put it in writing, if you take care of this as your own property and I don't have to hear anything, and I come in once a year and view the property and take care of, your rent's never going up. I never had to worry about that place. And then what I did with some people, we actually lowered the rent after a while. It was so amazing. They would never call and we'd lower the rent and we'd fix it at that lower rate. My stuff was fixed. So buying the property's right. And that's the thing. So many landlords are greedy and they're going to get what they deserve. They're squeezing every dime out of their tenants. They're not being good. And when you're a good landlord and your tenant leaves, you know what they do? They recommend a great friend. When they're good tenants, they hang out with good people and they go and recommend them. And it was awesome.
So Cindy is wondering, and we can definitely relate to this being in California. I've never heard you address the risk of being a landlord under an unconstitutional eviction / foreclosure moratorium, as in the 2020 to 2022 corporate raiders will be made whole. Mom and pop landlords are at risk.
Easy. I have never held a rental in the state of California. I did all of my flips in California. I would take that money and go buy lots of rentals in states like Arizona and New Mexico that were pro landlord, pro homeowner. And it was great because they would say, hey, we give you the benefit of the doubt. You were the one that went and bought the property. You're the one supplying the tax revenue and you are hopefully making good decisions. And it was amazing. Like those are great states. New Mexico. The only person I ever had to evict was current on the rent, always current on the rent. They were dealing drugs. And so we had to evict them. They were gone in under 30 days. They broke a tiny window. And I got to be honest with you, I still gave them back their deposit because they broke a tiny window inside of a multi-pane glass thing because they had opened up the door because they left something in the house. We made sure to go give them their deposit back. And I talked to them and I said, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want to evict you, but you're doing something illegal and I can't have that here. And the drug dealer's like, well, he admired me for being honest, but it was so fast to evict him, and because the state was great. And so in California, I just did flips, and that's exactly what I'll do again during this crash. I'm looking at waterfront property. I can't wait to do it on social media, because we have a lot of fun when we're flipping houses, quite frankly.
What if you were, coming out of college or young person? What would you be doing right now?
Investing in yourself, spending every time doing two things, learning as much as you can on social media and the internet. Right now, there's so much free stuff. There's also some great paid for stuff, but also being very aware of who you're hanging out with. That is your number one detriment or asset, your social circle. Do not cast your pearls before swine. If you have great ideas, only share them with great people. Do not share them with naysayers. Do not share them with people that are not successful. Who cares what they think of you? Do not do that, because what will do is they will shoot you down because they're looking at themselves in a mirror and they believe that you can't accomplish it because they don't believe they can accomplish it. So find good people. And also this, hang out with older people, because I have always had older friends and they had so much more wisdom, not because of all the great accolades they did, it's because they went through life before me. They've already learned half the lessons that I don't want to learn the hard way. And they have no problem sharing this with me. So hang out with successful older people and you will absolutely dominate it.
Yeah. So let's see. Have you ever invested in dinar?
Oh, man.
Is
I've
that
never wanted to talk about
Not a
it.
great question.
No, it is a good question. Yeah, I have dinar. But that is because of a dream that I had and then a vision, and I went and bought some. But I will tell you this, I prayed about it a lot, and I only bought a certain amount. I will not share that amount. And I'm okay with it. I'm totally okay with it. I don't want to, that's a deep rabbit hole. And it's a very scary thing because of what our country did under Bill Clinton to the Kuwaiti dinar, and then what they plan to do with the Iraqi dinar. And it's evil. And one of these days, maybe I should share it, but I don't want people, it's the only currency that's appreciated the dollar on earth. I think the Vietnam dong has too. And yet that's the only one you cannot buy in the bank. So I just haven't wanted to talk about it because it's such a rabbit hole, and its future is not clear right now. Let's put it that way, because of what's going on in the world.
So you're always talking about, having liquid cash so that you can buy up things and take advantage of when prices.
The other day.
Yeah, when prices are low for the crash.
Yeah.
Are you concerned with, or how long do you think you'd have to sustain, because you're having to use that capital to buy the things when they're low, and then you got to wait it out until they're raising prices again, right, to flip. So how long do you think?
No. Yeah. So when I bought that car last week, there's $25,000 margin. I could actually go and easily make 15 or 20 off of it right now because I bought it that low, right? Will I do that? Probably not. But if you buy things that low, all you have to do is find someone to buy it. So you're not holding and waiting. Unless it's like extreme collectibles and it's art, like what I got behind me. Here, I'll show you. I'll give you an example. Like art, right? Paintings and things like that. It's a car. If you get a really smoking deal on that and it's something you could store and you enjoy, cool. But I wouldn't just have a warehouse full of stuff thinking I'm gonna merely double or triple my money in 5 years. I would buy things so low that you're like, I could sell this because I've been looking for this. I know how smoking a deal this is. And someone is like, either they don't know what they got or they're just like losing their mind going, I got to get this, because they're thinking rationally, like, fine, I'll sell it. I think it's worth more. And I always tell them this too, because I think that's where the blessing comes. Tell them the truth. I go, it's worth way more than this. I'm only willing to pay you this much, but it's worth way more. If it doesn't sell, give me a call. And 9 times out of 10, they just go, just buy it. Or they call me back like 30 days later, I can't sell it, just buy it, because they don't want to spend the time, because most people are lazy. I'll buy it and flip it, So yeah, that's a hard question to ask, because I talk with people that are worth, $5,000. I've talked to people that are worth $50 million. You can't just answer that. That's more of a consulting question when I used to consult people.
So we were talking about modular homes earlier.
Yes.
What do you think about buying land and financing, possibly building a modular home on that land?
Tough, because the resale is less. What I would do is find a property. Right now, we're in a housing shortage, right? So states like California and other states are making incentives for you to build a home or put a modular on, because they need housing, which we're not in a housing crisis. I know it sounds crazy, but we're not. Still the same amount of homes. Actually, there's more homes today than there were a couple years ago. Still the same amount of people running around. As a matter of fact, a lot of people just died. So we've got a lot going for ourselves. I would buy a home that's a fixer, fix that up, and then go put a modular on that and have a duplex, if anything. Modulars have their own set of issues, but the problem is that when you go to flip it, only a certain amount of people can get the loan if they don't have the cash to buy it. So that just really sets you into a different thing. Hold on. Michael wants a shout out. Hold on. He says, if you could shout out me and my friend's YouTube financial channel, Fatal Investing. We would both love your channel, or we both love your channel. Hey, yeah, I've never heard of Fatal Investing, but go check out Fatal Investing. You know, it was crazy. You know, you guys know that I love like helping people, right? You got YouTubers that like lone wolves, and they got the ones that just hate on other people. You know, it's weird with both of those type of people. They never grow. And so if you just help other people grow, and you help other people, everything works out. It's amazing. I was talking with Chris the other day, and he's growing because he's helping other YouTubers. We just helped another gentleman on the streets in Vegas start a YouTube channel, and he's the only guy that I know out of what would you say, AJ? I've tried to help how many people start a YouTube channel? Try and talk to them. 12, like legitimately, but how many people have I said you need to start a YouTube channel?
Oh, 30, 40, 50.
Easy, right?
Oh,
probably 100.
Anybody you run into,
yeah,
start a YouTube
this
channel.
ninja gets upset. She's like, stop saying that to everyone. This guy goes, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. And I'm like, you'll never beg again. You're going to crush it. And in 5 days, he's made 5 videos. Boom, 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 boom. And he calls me and he goes, is there any way I could do something to get more than a couple hundred views on my videos? I'm like, dude, you're 5 days in. You're doing better than anyone I know. So anyway, thoughts on how low XRP price will go? When's a good time to buy? Okay, so just so you know, with XRP, if banks believe and hedge funds believe that XRP is going to be used for cross-border settlements, or hard to say, that digital currencies, CBDCs are going to sit on top of them, and they're going to use that platform to move, then you have to understand you're dealing with very highly sophisticated investors. So they're going to hit the world with bad press, shorting. They're going to hit them with all kinds of tricks to try and shake out weak hands. So I don't look at how low it goes. I look at how much I want to set up, store, and I wait. And when it goes down, I have limit orders and I buy. Now, I have not bought XRP, honestly, in probably 3.5 years. I have plenty. So, but yeah, you're dealing with sophisticated investors. I don't know how low it could go.
Jacob again.
Jacob, stop giving the super chats.
Jacob's, yeah.
But thank you.
Jacob's wife is asking if it'd be better to invest buying rental homes or invest in business right now.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh, that's a good one because they're both going down. Yeah, it depends. If you own business or rentals right now, I'd look to shore up your balance sheets right now in either of those. Okay. If you're just like, I got money and I want to spend it and I want it to grow, I don't think either of those are a good spot. I know it sounds crazy, but like, I mean, can she comment how much she's looking to make per year?
Yeah, Jacob, if you could.
Yeah, Jacob,
you don't have to super chat.
Don't super chat.
Just
He'll look, but just comment. How much money are you looking to make from your money? Like how much money are you looking to invest and how much are you looking for a rate of return? I know it sounds crazy, but 9 times out of 10, I go, start flipping stuff. Oh my gosh, you're gonna make thousands of % back on your stuff. Because I would wait. You wanna wait till you buy up the inventory of the store that went out of business, and then you've got a shop and you fill it full of things. You know, it also depends on what kind of business. You could find horribly run businesses, especially after the COVID fiasco and how people took government money and ran it into the ground. And you could buy businesses cheap. You could always buy businesses cheap. I mean, here, my cousins, you know, I was telling them, you know, you want to make more money, it's all about advertising. And like, stop paying for advertising, just go doing some Facebook ads for free, organically. And they just like, I don't know. It's like, you find businesses like that where they can't get the sales and, you know, go crush it. You keep looking for what's his
I'm
thing. I'm gonna look at this one. So yeah. Michael's asking, do you think the Fed breaks everyone's back before the end of 23 or drags us into 24 where student loans destroy everyone? So that's a great question. So the Fed has already broken people's backs. And I'll give you an example why. We already know that credit card debt is at an all-time high and savings is at a very low right now. It's dipping down. So we already know people are broke, right? By and large. We know that the student loans are going to make it worse, and we know that officially recession will be announced because they changed the verbiage of recession, right? The definition. It'll be announced about the 3rd week of January. Then really people go scared. I believe that, and that's the thing with crashes, they're always evolving until everyone's like, okay, we're in a crash. Right now, the stock market's dipping, but people are still euphoric about the stock market. They're like, buy the dip, until, you know, if it keeps dipping and coming down lower. So it's both. You're going to have both. The Fed's breaking the backs right now. They're still going to raise rates. Every time they raise rates, they break your back a little bit more, but they do it slow enough to where it doesn't look like it's their fault. And they go, hey, you wanted us to get in control of inflation. We're like, well, yeah, idiots, you caused it. We're like, no. You know, most people don't know that. So they go, hey, this is what we had to do. And Powell said, you're going to feel pain. But then the announcement of recession is going to take all the sheeple, and they're just going to go, oh, we're in a recession. I should stop spending money. And that's what's going to happen.
So Mark, with a super chat, he has a question. Then we're going to lead it into our last question, I think. What's better, hold 5,000 in cash for the future or throw it into some precious metals?
If all you have is 5,000, it depends on what type of person you are. If you're a type of person that can flip, has energy, has fresh ideas, has an optimistic attitude, I would only put half of that in precious metals, and I would take the other half and try and do something with it. Because then if everything goes down tomorrow and silver goes up or gold goes up, you're like, okay, I got that. But if you don't invest in yourself and you don't try, if I'm not trying, I'm dying. And so it's never putting everything into something. That's the thing. You always spread it out. There have been times, I'm wrong all the time. Crypto explodes. I'm like, wait a minute, I was waiting for silver to explode. I'm like, okay, I'll take the profits on the crypto, dump it over to silver. And then all of a sudden silver ticks up and Bitcoin or whatever goes down. I'm like, oh, crap, I can sell this and move it over. And then that swing trade just works out great. So I don't ever put anything in. I've always looked at what I can do, invest in myself. So don't put it all in.
Yeah, so like to tail that, and this will probably be our last question, is what?
But it's not from, we don't know about the business.
Jacob never got
Gosh, I want like details. Because that's the thing. It's so, I can't answer. These are not answers that you could just answer. I need to look at some balance sheets and goals. Wait, did he answer?
He said invest amount 500,000.
500,000? Did he say how much he's looking to make out of that?
No, Jacob, if you're hearing that, tell us how much you want to make out of it.
How much money are you looking to make? That's a big nut. That's a lot of money. See, and here's the thing too. These are your situations. Like, let's say he's like, well, I'm only looking to make like $100,000 a year off that. I go, shoot, there's real estate that you could pay cash. You can almost sometimes get close to that. You know what I mean? Because of depreciation, the savings, the taxes, things like that. You have to know that answer. 500,000. Oh man, I wonder what like the market cap, what he's. Yeah, I'd have to. Yeah, there's so much more.
Yeah, then he followed up with where would be a safe place to put money, to put that money.
Oh, I can tell you what I've done. I mean, I have some crypto. Big cryptos, right? Bitcoin, XRP, things like that. I put it into precious metals, gold and silver. I have platinum as well. So Neil is happy. And I think platinum's a good deal. He's laughing his butt off right now. I also have cash because of deals that are coming right now. And then I've paid off debt. That's another thing that blows me away. There are people like, I got this much money, I want to put something in. I'm like, what do you want to make? And they go X amount. I'm like, you could pay off all your debt right now and make more than that. And so there's some more fluid things. But yeah, I would be unless your net worth is, you're putting 500,000 in. If your net worth isn't over 5 million, I wouldn't do it. I would not gamble right now at this market more than 10% of your net worth into a business. That's the best answer.
So last thing, it really, when it comes down to if you're trying to decide to invest in gold and silver or crypto or put it into a business or real estate, whatever amount that money is, what makes a decision is what you want out of it, what result you want, right?
Yes, but that's sort of a two-edged sword because most people just want to throw money at things and see if it sticks, and they don't have any knowledge about it. Like people are like, I'm going to buy crypto. I'm like, okay, well, are you going to store it on Coinbase, or are you going to take it off and put it on a hard wallet? And they're like, well, what does that mean? What's a hard wallet? I'm like, okay, you should read just a little bit more about it because you need to know the functionality and how it works. Because then perhaps you may think it's incredible and then you're buying with conviction based off of fundamentals. Yeah, so hopefully that answers that. I just know more about what you're investing in. What am I looking at? Jacob. $500,000 investment. Do I put my money in? That would. I have no idea. I'm new to this. Jacob, do not do that. Do not invest that money. What I would do is I would look at your debt. People that are out of debt and have a clean balance sheet when this thing goes down are going to be golden. And if it was me and I had that much money and that's all I had, I would do exactly what I said before, split into thirds. That's what I did. I bought a third of precious metals and I took my time. I didn't buy it all at once. I slowly came in, dollar cost averaged. I found the best prices. I bought some cryptocurrencies. I got out of debt. I also had some cash sitting off the side. I mean, with $500,000, you could take that and really split it up and really do some great things for yourself, you know? And that's the thing. A lot of people are coming into money right now because their parents are passing away. And as my heart goes out to you, because I know what that's like, but I didn't get any money for it. But bless my mom. But and they don't know what to do with it. And so again, you have to dive into knowledge and understanding, which means you have to invest in yourself, stop listening to music, stop watching Netflix, stop playing video games, get financial education, get it now. And you will be the best with your money. Don't put it in the hands of a money market guy.
So we're probably going to wrap there. In the future, to ask these questions, follow you on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Would be the best
At
place.
Economic Ninja on Twitter. But hey, real quick, can you guys type 1 or 2 if you guys think this was worth it? There's 1,300 people on here because AJ wanted to do this once a month or once a week.
Yeah.
And you know me, I'm just like putting out as much stuff as I can. Just let me know down below if it works. So it does sound like it worked. And then what day and time works best for people? I mean, like, is this like a Sunday afternoon thing? Maybe we're all just chilling and I'm drinking my bubbly water, burping like crazy. So hopefully that works. Okay, so we'll do this more.
Yeah. So if you want to get your questions in, we'll probably be posting on Twitter to ask for questions. So that would be the best place to put them.
Yeah, Twitter would be great. And then humbly, thank you so much for the super chats. It means a lot. Never thought I'd be doing this. So hope you guys have a great day. The Economic Ninja and AJ are out.